Welcome to EntreDot's Facebook Live broadcast, but we broadcast over more than Facebook. I'll tell you that in a minute. But look, I put an announcement out earlier this morning on what I'm trying to do here in this live broadcast. And again, because I've talked about this before a couple of months ago, again, this hybrid workplace phenomenon or initiative or happening as a result of COVID-19. The workplace is forever changed. And the reason I want to say this all again is that this has been a topic of conversation week after week after week in the work we do with pretty much small business owners and people who want to start a business, but some larger companies. But that's kind of where EntreDot focuses. And we're discovering that, quite frankly, entrepreneurs are taking this too lightly. I hear comments that, well, we just figure it out. We'll tell people what we want them to do. Well, I'll tell you, that's not going to work because people have lives, and their lives are at stake with COVID-19. Many of them in many different ways. So, if you're an entrepreneur that thinks you're going to dictate how work is going to be done, you better think again. And there's a better way to go about this. That's what I want to share with you. I want to get this down to some basic principles for you and a way to go about it that generally will fit this process, in other words, will fit what it is you want to try to figure out. But you're not going to be in a good position if you try to dictate what hybrid means, because it really means whatever is necessary for it to mean for your employees and partners. We'll get into this. So look, I wanted to remind you that we're live, but we're live on 4 channels here. We recently picked up LinkedIn after trying for a year and a half. I don't know if any of you tried to get permission to go live on LinkedIn, but you fill out an application and wait a year or more in total silence because they don't respond to anything. And one day, a couple of months ago, I got this notice, "Hey, congratulations, you're now a creator." Oh my goodness, I've been promoted. So I'm now a creator on LinkedIn, but we have the EntreDot and Bill Warner Facebook page that we go out on, as well as the EntreDot YouTube channel. So we're a big time broadcaster now, 4 channels. So the in the event that you'd like to get a steady diet of me talking, I've got a lot of videos over here on YouTube. This broadcast is going to be one of many that is available, but we have about 8 to 10 playlists full of videos on how to start and operate a company. And this particular one, since it's a general entrepreneurship kind of subject, will be in the playlist called Entrepreneurship in Action. So I urge you to take a look at it and subscribe to the EntreDot YouTube channel. When you see a video you like, make comments on it, ask me questions, I'll respond. But generally what we're trying to do is provide you in an organized way lots of content, lots of information. I hate using that word, content. Lots of information about how to start and run a company and all aspects of it. So enjoy our YouTube channel, please. So let's get into this subject of the hybrid workplace. So let's set the scene here first. I want to take this a little step at a time. There is great uncertainty about COVID. There's great uncertainty about what government agencies and what regulations are coming, and there's confusion to beat the band. If you're watching the news, I urge you, stop. You're getting such politicized news that you don't know what's right. I've stopped watching it. And you want to know something about COVID, call some medical professionals directly. Start with your doctor. But there's massive confusion. You see it every day. You probably feel that yourselves. So this recovery as you know, has gone through lots of false starts and redirections and it varies state by state, county by county, school district by school district. So therein lies a pretty messy scene as to, well, now you're a family person, you got a husband and a wife, kids, maybe your parents have moved in, whatever. You're in a company, and all of this situation has caused you to really worry a lot. And I hear this every day from people as to, being pushed and shoved in all these different directions, and trying to sort it out. So you as a business owner should, first of all, kind of have an appreciation for all of this confusion. And when you're talking to your employees or partners, you got to understand where they're coming from. They're just as confused as you are. So this whole thing, though, you as in a leadership role in your company have got to have a few principles that guide you. Let's put it that way. The first and foremost principle, or it's actually two, is health and safety. We're facing a pandemic. It's dangerous. Its level of danger varies person by person. The best off seem to be those that have been vaccinated twice, and the ones higher at risk that have no vaccinations whatsoever and have immune system issues. And that's the breadth of possible health issues people are dealing with. You better damn well know where every one of your people that you work with every day, where they are in that spectrum, from really in a dangerous situation no matter what, to fully vaccinated and healthy, wealthy, and wise. I mean, whatever they are. So you as a leader should understand that of yourself as well as all the people you work with, all your employees, team members. And you should have the mindset that my role is to keep them and myself safe from the danger of this pandemic. A pandemic that is changing a lot. We've heard a lot about this Delta variant. I don't even know what that means. It's just another bug to me, but it's dangerous. And it's dangerous to certain kinds of people. You know that. If you have not been vaccinated, you're not only susceptible to good old COVID-19, but it's Delta variant and any other ones that come along. So you're at higher risks than people that are vaccinated. But you as a leader should ooze the high regard of keeping us as a company and as a team safe and healthy. Your decisions really come down to that. So before you make a decision to do this, that, or the other thing, and we'll talk about some of those this, that's, and other things in a minute, think about, is this going to keep people safe? And is it going to help them be healthy as well? So the second thing is, I urge you not to have this attitude that I implied, now 6-7 minutes ago, is my way or the highway. Okay, when 55% of the population has been vaccinated, you all come back to work. That's my decision. That would be a really bad way to handle things. There is no one way to do this. That's what makes it so damn complicated. There are certain principles that we need to go by, which I'll get into in a minute, but you're going to have to find the way that's right for your company and the people within it. And I'm going to tell you how to go about that as well. So, but don't walk into this whole situation as the leader of the company or the leader of the team that's going to figure this out in the company, that we know what to do, we know what we want to do, and we're simply going to communicate it and get it done. We decided. No. You're going to figure out the right way for your company based upon your understanding of your own people. And then thirdly, the very culture of your company should be one of caring and empathy and other, qualities of a good culture. But right now, high on your list of culture points, if you will, is health and safety. Health and safety should become an integral part of your culture and the way you portray your business and what is important to you as the leader of the company and what is important for the entire company to know that we stand for being healthy and keeping our employees safe. So I elevate health and safety to something that is an integral part of your culture. Okay, so we're starting there with leadership. Now, you got to take stock of what the heck is going on where your company is and where your jurisdiction is what are the regulations? And again, don't get this on the news because you don't know what county this news came from, or in some cases, what state we're talking about. Get it from the regulatory agencies, probably the Health and Human Services departments of city, county, state governments, probably more state, not county. But there are regulations and policies for school districts that come out of counties. So you need to know what rules they have for going back to school and masking and not masking and what time of day you go to school, what day you stay at home, and what it takes to be in compliance with all of these rules and regulations. You got to be current on it. Find people not in the news industry or media industries. Find people in the seats and departments of these regulatory agencies where the rules come from, and be current on them. Have sources for them, for this information. And I urge you to have a personal working relationship with some of these regulators and people at school districts, so you get the straight scoop of what they're going to do, not through some news report, because all this stuff is so biased right now, has been for a long time. And this is too important to not hear it from the horse's mouth as to where these regulations and rules come from and what it takes to be in compliance. So that's my first urging to you. Okay, so you got all that background. It took me 13 minutes to get to that. Now we're going to do the serious work within your company to find out what your employees think. I've led up to this point in this broadcast, setting the scene and kind of the background information you're going to need to have meaningful discussions. I'm suggesting to you that you actually interview your employees, most of them. If you've got a lot of employees, you get a team of 3 or 4 or 5 executives to conduct employee interviews. Do it by department. Whatever you want to do, you need to know what the situation is for your employees. The situation with respect to any emerging health issues, what's their vaccination experience, and are they or are they not? When you're talking about a family, back up. You want to ask them, what are their preferences for going back to work? Do you want to be able to work from home? How many days from home? What days of the week from home? Morning or afternoon? In case of half days. You want to know what they want, because they're sitting with a family with kids that, by the way, many of whom are going to school. And to further complicate their lives, you got 2 spouses and 1 or more kids, perhaps. If you have 2, 3, or 4 kids, and they're in wide age groups, widely, so they're in different kinds of schools, junior high, high school, elementary. And the complexity for mom and dad there is complying with all the school regulations that their child goes to, mask or not mask, class on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, school from home Tuesday and Thursday. That's for elementary. But the junior high kids or the high school kids are on opposite days, putting the family into a situation where somebody's got to be home nearly all the time because all 5 days of the week there's one of their children at home in school. See how complicated this gets? You as a leader in your company need to know this. So if you were to dictate everybody's coming back to work now 8 to 5, you've got a situation where some people are not going to be able to do it. Some people may have to work at home the majority of the time. Some may be flexible enough to come to work 2 or 3 days a week. But you want to know their preference before you decide, because whatever you decide, you may be hitting a certain number of your employees the wrong way and they will quit. They'll go on to work with some other company that does meet their needs. But I urge you to take the time to do these interviews so you at least understand and have asked them what their preferences are. That will go a long ways in getting cooperation with your employees when you finally decide what hybrid working is for your company. Because you are now basing it on your knowledge of their needs. So, by the way, the same thing you do for your own customers, right? You figure out their needs and meet them. Well, in this case, your employees are the ones who have these needs and you want to understand them. So these are interviews in a structured way, asking consistent questions so you can add all of this stuff up and see what the patterns are. Out of all of this morass of different viewpoints, patterns will emerge. How many days can you really expect on average from your employees to be there? We got to give them maybe total flexibility on which days they can be at work and some at not. Well, for certain kinds of meetings, we got to have them online then. And so you've got to figure out the various ways you're going to have them gainfully employed and participating either at work or remotely. In other words, you're going to have a certain amount of your employees, I think without a doubt, that are going to have to work from home some amount of time during the week. And the reports I'm reading from McKinsey and Forbes articles I've been reading and Forrester reports and stuff like that you may be on average talking about 2 to 3 days of work at home, and only a couple of them working at work. So I'm going to leave it at that. I urge you, be in touch with your employees, interview them, at least listen to what they need, and as you put together your plan, you're doing the best you can to meet their needs. By the way, you need to do the same thing, maybe not at the same depth, but with your customers and partners, people you work with outside your company frequently. You need to take some time, maybe done through your sales organization, is to understand where they're at with COVID and what their policies are. So you don't have people going and visiting them when they have Monday, Wednesday, and Friday work from home. And they only meet anybody at work at Tuesdays and Thursdays. You want to know what their policies are, and hopefully they've done a similar process of interview and understanding their own situation and have a policy that they could explain to you. But your relationships with your customers have changed materially. If you haven't done so already, understand where they're at. Their supply, if you're in product business, let alone services, you probably already know that the supply chain, the worldwide supply chain, is in turmoil. Many of you have parts sitting out in the Pacific Ocean right now on a boat or in some warehouse in San Francisco Bay or Los Angeles, waiting to be picked up at great fees for that service. But my message here is not so much that, is to understand where your customers are coming from, because it's materially going to change the way you sell to them and what their priorities are. So once you've done all of these interviews, particularly with your employees, you need to create a plan. Okay, now you got all of this information, you know, all of these preferences and issues that people have. You're going to create a schedule for working at home and working at your place of work. Your space requirements may change. You may want to change your lease because you don't need this much space anymore, because you've got people, you don't have all your employees all at once in your building. So you think through your space requirements. You may want to change your lease to something less than what you've got. You need to decide how meetings are conducted. There's really, really important meetings where face-to-face is important. There's dull status reporting meetings and coordination meetings and status reviews. All could be done online. So take them one by one. Figure out which meetings are online, which meetings are hybrid, which ones I require you to be here. So you schedule meetings that way. But you let people know, of course. You have a process for communicating this, and you have your own procedures for, if you're at work, here are the rules of the game. You're going to come in the front door. We're going to test your temperature. We say 6 feet apart. Maybe not so much anymore. Masks are required upon entry and validation that you're okay. After that, masks are no longer required. Only people who can be vaccinated, have been vaccinated, can be at work. I'm making this up. These are the things you're going to decide in detail as part of your plan. And then you got all the special cases, employees that have special needs. And you figure out one by one, how am I going to accommodate them? Maybe you can, maybe you can't. But you try to work it out. If you can't work it out, you part ways. And it's a shame, but that's the situation we're in. Create a plan for coming back to work. Create a plan for what hybrid workplace means for your company. And it's specific to the needs of your company. I can almost assure you, beyond a shadow of a doubt, if you do it in a way like this, you will be respected for listening and trying to accommodate and coming up with an answer that meets the needs predominantly of most of the employees of the company. You'll have some fallout, but you'll have a lot of keepers too. And you'll have a lot of respect because you tried to figure this out and make it work. So once you've got your team together and you've come up with a plan, the next thing you do is communicate it. You're going to be on the road communicating what's going on here. And when you do this, you're going to be upbeat, transparent, talk openly about how you figured all of this out. Thank people for their contribution to the ideas. Be straightforward and honest with them, and use that big word when you're listening. You're not only listening to their issues, but you're listening empathetically. You understand how they're feeling, why they're reacting the way they are. Put a big dose of it. Get yourself the third shot of empathy as the management team and the leadership of your company to listen empathetically. But you are operating from a position of great awareness of what the employees have told you because you've done all of these interviews. And don't equivocate. Be firm in your decision. Stick to it. Keep this simple. The more you can get this to we do, we don't. It's a yes or a no. It's not a what if, which will confuse the hell out of everybody. There will be special cases, but handle them as special cases, not as a general policy. Just say you're open to helping people with special needs. But generally, go on the road, if you will, department by department. I suggest you do this in small groups, and your whole executive team who has put this plan together proceeds to communicate what a hybrid workplace means for your company, and answer their questions. And there'll be lots of them. So once communicated, that now you're executing this plan. You may want to put training programs in place for certain aspects of this, and you want to make sure that roles and responsibilities are clearly defined within your company, if they weren't already, that you have metrics that reflect how you're doing with respect to not only communicating, but getting the results of, people who have gotten COVID. You want to understand, well, how did that happen? So have metrics and reporting that gets this in front of the management team. And as you go through all of this, you enforce the rules and regulations you've set up and that you've communicated to everybody. This is kind of take no prisoners. This is the way we're going to do it. And this is all about health and safety. There's not a big margin for error here. We need to be pretty precise about how we handle ourselves in this very dangerous situation we're in. So you monitor this. What I've read is some companies put a special team in place of a few, 3 or 4 or 5 of the leadership team that are the team that is driving this and monitoring, gathering feedback and how it's going. Have a process for, on a frequent basis, what do employees think? How is it going? You spend some time talking with people during the course of the day. If you hear an issue, you investigate it and do it quickly, particularly if it's a dangerous issue. And that you do have a process for when you come to work and when you don't. Are we adhering to this process? If we're not, why not? What do we need to change with respect to the process because something wasn't working? What was it? And then you put in place the actions necessary to stay on track. And you spend some time rewarding people for good work in executing this hybrid work situation. People that come up with good ideas, you thank them for it, acknowledge them. So this is good old basic blocking and tackling, solid management. But have a identified, named person in charge of this team, and the 3 or 4 members of the team that are the go-to people if you got questions about our hybrid workforce and the policies and procedures that we've put in place. That's it. It took me darn near half an hour to get this off my chest. But look, what it comes down to is leadership, and keeping people safe. But start with being current on what the rules are. Most importantly, what are the needs of your employees? Then establish a plan, communicate it, execute the plan, monitor the heck out of it, and be successful at it. With that, if you have any questions, I see one here, and the person's asking me, have you seen this work? And I said, the answer is yes, I have. I've had the pleasure of coaching a couple of teams and people that are trying to do this. It's a 15-person company, so the interview process was rather quick. But what they appreciated most was the being prepared to have these conversations and being open to listening. Then the next question is, what's my sense of the I guess I'll put it my way, the level of worry people have about this? I have to tell you, it's high. It's high. I do see, though, some examples of people who are not managers, who are not really appreciating how important this is and really how difficult it is and time consuming. the attention you've got to put to this is pretty significant. And I'm seeing too many management people not taking this terribly seriously. And some of them come across like they know it all. And you know me. how will I deal with know-it-all kind of people? Because I know it all. Well, they can't know it all. But you really got to be, open your ears and listen, and do the right thing for the people in your organization. I'm going to end it here. We're at the 30-minute mark. I think that's enough video for the day. But I hope that this is helpful. And I seriously urge you, if you haven't done so already, or if you have and any of this has inspired you to do more, get in touch with your people. Do the right thing for them. Keep them safe. Keep them healthy. And in this new world that we're now entering, or have entered, and with the hybrid workforce. Have a great day.